guys, what is going on? Redmaster here, and welcome back to another Cards and Castles video. Today, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. As you guys know, Enchanted Grove has been live for quite some time. What I like to normally do is take a look at all of the changes that have happened to existing cards and go over some of the new cards in these review videos. But today, I figured you might start off with a little something different. The review videos for other factions will come later on, but I think it's important to get to know one of the newer types of cards that have come into the game recently, and that's trap cards. Of course, trap cards have just been introduced in this set, and they are an entirely brand new concept, and I think that there are some things about traps that people may not quite know. So what this video is going to be doing is taking a look at the trap cards as a whole and show, how they work and some of the common misconceptions that I've been seeing on TV with them recently, and then go into each trap card, one by one, reviewing what they are and how they work, excluding the dojo and the trapdoor ninja, which will be reviewed, I should say, in the ninja faction review. So with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So what are trap cards? Well, trap cards, according to their texts, sets a secret trap that your opponent activates on their turn. Or sorry, I read that a little wrong there, but it's still the same point. Essentially, regardless of what you do, your opponent's going to be the only one activating these cards, and they all have certain trigger methods which show this. When your unit is attacked, when your unit is destroyed, when an enemy summons a unit, things like that, those will activate the traps. There is no way for you on your side to trigger a trap. Possibly when a unit is destroyed, that could be a trap that you trigger on your own, like Detonate. That's one that you could probably, again, trigger via your turn. Let me see what else here. When a friendly unit destroyed, so the verdict. So things like that, they can probably activate on your turn, but most likely traps will be activating for your opponent's turn. What's nice about traps is that they are not exclusive to one faction. There are a wide variety of traps, at least 2 in nearly every faction, for you to select from for your deck. So it's really nice to see them getting this kind of diversity right from their creation. It gives a lot of new options, and it certainly has improved previously, crappy cards. We're all going to agree that Camouflage, when you give a dinosaur stealth, they may have been the best card in the world. So it's nice to see cards like Camouflage, like Cloak and Daggers, like Eternal Judgment, getting some sort of new purpose with trap cards, being a thing. They have a new new purpose that, of course, can evolve gameplay further. So with that being said, let's get right into the misconceptions, however. Some things that, you need to know with trap cards is that there is no stacking, if that makes sense. What I've seen recently is some people try to play the same trap twice and expect the trap to activate twice. This is not the case, however. With traps, say if I have 2 Eternal Judgments, and I place down 1 Eternal Judgment, and then I place down another maybe 2 turns later, hoping to get 8 damage maybe off on a stronger unit. This will not happen, however. Only 1 Eternal Judgment will proc, and you've essentially just wasted a trap card with that. So that's an important thing to know. They do not stack the same card. However, it is possible to have more than 2 traps, more than 1, I should say, traps on a castle at one time. So say if I have Eternal Judgment, I have that on my castle, and I just drew Detonate. I can play Detonate on, of course, the field, and it will have, it won't cancel out the other trap card. It'll act as a separate trap waiting to be triggered. So that's something that's very important that I see some people getting confused on. Traps do not stack if they're the same card. However, if you have 2 different traps, one will not cancel out. They will both be on the field, both be ready to proc. And I haven't really tested out the limit of trap cards, but I think it's safe to say that you can place multiple different trap cards, just not 2 of the same trap cards. So, with that being said, I think it's about time to review some of these traps and to see which ones are the best trap cards to use. The first trap we'll be going into is the Adaptive Armor trap, one of the new Druid cards. When a unit is attacked, it gains +3 health and Spirit Link. A pretty good trap, I will say. Not just for the health boost, but the Spirit Link as well. What some people may not realize about Spirit Link is that it has two sort of unique ways of functioning, if that makes sense. One, it redirects all damage, not just the basic attack, but any sort of effect damage, maybe cleave. It'll absorb all of the cleave damage that might happen on one unit. So maybe if you have like 3 units that get hit by cleave, the one Spirit Link will absorb all of that damage. And also with the same thing with chains and explosives, it'll absorb any sort of additional effect damage. As well, adaptive armor also with Spirit Link can help trigger other units' survival instinct or retaliation effects like living vines, like Gromok. They have a chance of, dealing their survival instinct abilities directly to an enemy unit. So say if Gromok has the Spirit Link and another unit gets hit, Gromok will gain +2/+2 in Rampage without having to do anything. So I think Adaptive Armor is one of those just sneaky, waiting to be exploited trap cards, and I definitely hope and predict that it'll get some major play in the near future. The next trap is Avalanche, coming from the Vikings now. When a unit is played, freeze it and nearby enemies. This is one of 2 cards that has like this similar when a unit is played, do some sort of, freeze or stun to it. The other one, of course, being Special Delivery, which has the stun, which is why I referenced it. But overall, it's not a bad trap card. I just think maybe if stall decks become a thing, or you see rush decks become more heavily used, or, you want to push your aggression even further, Avalanche is one of those nice cards that can, slow down the enemy and just further your rush, further your push, without having to worry about, enemy units getting in the way. Overall, this may not see as much play as Adaptive Armor might, but it's not a bad trap, because, of course, that freezing can be really useful in the right decks. So overall, not a bad trap, but not as strong as some other traps in here. Next up, we have Camouflage. Now, this is a welcome change to see, because, of course, I mentioned, or maybe I didn't, Camouflage, of course, was originally dinosaur stealthing, and I didn't think that was a strong card to feature. But now, of course, with this new trap mechanic, Camouflage has been converted into a new card. Of course, as you can see on your screen, when your castle is attacked, summon a random monster. Now, this primarily, of course, helps monsters since they have been relegated to the pirate ninja factions, and having this card for them as like an extra support is sort of reinforcing the fact that monsters are now, of course, pirate and ninja. So overall, I don't think it's a very strong trap for a non-monster deck because the pulls aren't very big. We have probably Manfish, Kaijir, and I'm not sure. I've only seen really Manfish and Kaijir from Camouflage. There might be another higher unit up there, but again, the pool isn't very strong, and like I said, only really helps monster decks. But yeah, I guess it's not. It's definitely a unique trap card because this is one of the ones. This is, I think, only one of the 2 that sort of summons a unit to the field. But I just think the monsters, of course, relegates. Well, not really relegates. Diverts it more towards monsters, and of course, the low pool may not be as helpful. But overall, not a bad trap for the monster faction or archetype. Archetype. Next up, we have the Cloak and Daggers, another good card that, well, previously wasn't a good card, but now is a better card thanks to this whole trap conversion. Of course, when a unit is attacked, give nearby enemies bleed 3. Interesting that it has a bleeding aspect. Not a lot of cards give out bleed anymore, so having this sort of surprise bleed can be intriguing to use. Overall, though, I will say right now the pirate doesn't have the strongest of traps, but I think this isn't one of the worst. I think this is like in the middle between the 2 other pirate traps, which we'll be going into, of course, later in the video. But Yeah, it's an okay trap. I won't say it's a bad one because the bleed can buy you some time. Um, but overall, it's just not the best that the pirates have to offer. From there, we move on to Detonate, probably one of the trickiest Warlock traps. As you can see, when a friendly unit is destroyed, it explodes for 5 damage. That's some pretty big damage, especially if you have a unit right on the castle and this trap card is activated there. It can do some pretty hefty damage. That's probably a quarter of the castle gone with one sort of card. So I would say this is probably one of the better, if not the best, Warlock trap available. And even in a Last Will deck, which of course we know is heavily favored with red, um, you want your units to die off so you can get their Last Will's their Last Will effects to trigger. So having them explode for 5 damage and destroying maybe a quarter of the castle health or any other weaker units around could be just an added bonus to let your big guys like Andrew and Arcanine General come through and destroy everything that might be still already on the field. Who knows? But yeah, I think probably Detonate's one of the, if like I said, better if not the best trap for Warlocks, just because that damage is pretty big and can definitely catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. So, good trap card. I like it. Next up, we have Eternal Judgment, one of two Crusader trap cards in the game. And of course, Eternal Judgment, not that strong. When your enemy attacks your castle, deal 4 damage to it. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't use this in a deck, mostly because I have a lot of other things that I'd like to play Crusaders for. And dealing damage when a unit hits a castle is not one of them. Overall, not a bad card. I just wouldn't say one of the best. However, with Crusaders only having 2 trap cards and one of them being a legendary, I just don't think Eternal Judgment has the best trap. They're sort of in the same range as Pirates. Their traps aren't the best, and I wouldn't necessarily use them if I were running the factions. But if you want to, by all means, you can certainly do that. And hey, maybe the 4 damage can come in handy with clearing a weaker unit. With that being said, though, I don't think this is a very good trap card, simply because you don't really need the trap cards for Crusaders. But then again, that's just my opinion, and yeah, I just think could be better. Could be better. That's what I'm going to say with that one. Could be a little bit better. Next up, we have the Flames of Eternity. Now, with the Flames of Eternity, the second of 2 Warlock traps. And of course, this is actually kind of similar to Eternal Judgment. When a unit is played, deal 4 damage to it. So you're still dealing the same amount of damage to a unit. However, with Flames of Eternity, it's directly when they're summoned. Now, I think this is going to have a larger impact than Eternal Judgment, and it's why that this card is a bit better than Eternal Judgment. Is because when when your opponent summons a unit, they want to have some sort of purpose for it, whether it be to activate an ability, to attack, or to defend, whatever the case may be. When you're dealing 4 damage to it directly out of the summon, you either can kill a unit or severely weaken a unit, so when they're hit, they perish. So definitely more of a scary trap card to watch out for in the Warlocks, and again, a reason why it's better than Judgment. So, with that being said, I think it's a great trap for the faction as it emphasizes on that aggressive sort of damage coming from anywhere play style. So, with that being said, great trap card, and definitely one of the more scary ones to come out of this latest expansion. Next up, we have Forked Lightning. Now, Forked Lightning is interesting because it deals with Chain Lightning. It's probably one of the only trap cards that does. When a unit is attacked, it gains Lightning 3 and Knockback this turn. Now, what's important to note here is the Knockback effect. With Lightning, you're usually or with Vikings in general, I should say, you're usually aware that there's probably some sort of Chain Lightning hiding in the deck. So you don't want to clump up your units together, or else you could get Chain Lightning, then lose not only the unit that was attacked, but a variety of other smaller units as well. So what's interesting about Forked Lightning is that you have to be aware that, when the unit is attacked, the unit that is attacking, of course, is going to get pushed back, and then the Chain Lightning procs. So if you are knocked back into maybe a group of zombies or a group of weaker units, they're going to be probably either taken out or severely weakened by that Chain Lightning 3, not to mention maybe getting 3 on the castle if they're lucky. So I would say this is, again, one of the more dangerous trap cards that's out there. It's sort of like having a cheap little surprise lightning blade, if you guys haven't already seen that card. Of course, gaining +2/+2 and the chain lightning of 3. So, with that being said, fork lightning is probably, again, one of the more dangerous but not yet exploited trap cards in this expansion. Next up, we probably have the most popular trap card I've seen recently, IJsu. Now, IJsu was converted from the Awakening support to being a trap card, and as you can see, it's a pretty dangerous trap card. When a unit is attacked, it gains +4 attack and first strike this turn. Now, the first strike is what's important here. For those of you who haven't already experienced first strike out there in some ranked matches already, not IJsu. First strike is dangerous. You don't get to attack first, and whatever you're attacking has to have more health than the initial strike, or else you're going to lose your unit. Now, while they do have weaker health, of course, Demon Hunter, Were Rat, Ronin, all having less than 3 or less health, the first strike is what is potentially a killer here. And with +4 attack being added on to whatever unit's getting this trap, you're more than likely to lose the unit right from the start, rather than getting even the slightest chance to hit back. So that's probably why IJsu is probably one of the most dangerous and most popular trap cards, because that first strike +4 attack is pretty much a lethal combo right there. You're gonna be guaranteed to take out something, if not severely weaken it to the point of near death. But with that being said, IJsu is probably one of the best trap cards currently that have come out of this expansion by far, simply because of that first strike, and not to mention that big buff to the existing attack of +4. So very dangerous but very effective. From there, we move into Might of the Minotaur. Now, Might of the Minotaur is the third Viking trap card that we've gone over in this review, and it's probably the best out of the 3. Of course, you can see on your screen when a unit is attacked, it gains +3/+3. Now, that's a pretty big buff, and this sort of goes back to IJsu in the sense that stats are important, and getting that +3/+3 can be pretty big depending on what kind of unit gets it. So you could turn an average 4/5 Barbarian into a 7/8 with the Minotaur, an average 3/4 Scout to about a 6/7. So it really shows that Might of the Minotaur can surprise you out of nowhere, and it can certainly lead to creating more problems, because they often lead to a bigger unit being created out of the process. So again, definitely a scary trap. Not as popular as IJsu, because I don't think a lot of people are running Viking, and if they are, they're not going to be running traps. They're more of, hard-hitting aggression. But I would say Might of the Minotaur is definitely one of the, again, more dangerous traps waiting to be exploited, because that stat buff is pretty big, in my opinion. Next up, we have Mystic Pact. Now, Mystic Pact is unique in the sense that it is the only trap to have or get triggered by a spell. When a spell targets your unit, return it to your hand and summon a Kunoichi. Now, this is kind of interesting. Not only is it one of the 2 cards that summons an additional unit, it also sort of only activates via spell, targeting %. So, overall, I think it's probably not as strong as IJsu, of course, that being probably the strongest trap out there right now. But Mystic Pact is coming a close second. The only reason it's not better is because of that weird sort of way to activate the card. Having a spell targeting unit. Sure, that might be a good counter to Warlocks, but I haven't really used it as much to determine whether or not the effect damage goes through. I don't think it does. I think the effect damage cancels out, but I haven't really solidified that in my testing of this card yet. Overall, I will say it's not a bad card. The 4/2 Kunoichi you get out of it is not bad. It can certainly trade with a unit because it's not hitting face. It is stealth, of course. And, probably not carrying ambush. So it's a nice sort of trading card, one that you're willing to sort of sacrifice. And, of course, you have your unit that was targeted in your hand ready to go for a later time. So overall, a pretty good, solid trap card. The only reason it's not better than IJsu is that weird sort of targeting or that weird sort of activation trigger. Next up, we have Secret Dragon, of course, one of the only trap cards that deals in transformations. And as you can see, when a unit is attacked, it transforms into a random drake and gains +2/+2. Now, this is fairly interesting. It is, of course, the only sort of card that deals, like I said, in transforming, and with that, transforming means that your unit will turn into a different unit, of course, with Wotan, for example, and it keeps all of its, buffs. It just kind of brings up the full health, keeps all the buffs, and becomes a new unit entirely. So that's why this card is, pretty interesting. I will say it's probably run a little higher than Mystic Pact because you're bound to be, activating it more times than you are from Mystic Pact. And that random Drake can be anything from a Faithful Drake to a Stone Drake. Stone Drake, of course, being that 5/6 fast plus 2/2 means it's going to be like a 7/9. I want to say 7/8. I think 5/6 plus 2. Yeah, 7/8. I don't know where I got the 9 from. But yeah, so the Drake pool, with them being how big it is at the moment, Secret Dragon can lead to some pretty devastating counters and unexpected conundrums. So that being said, it's going to be better than Mystic Pact, but probably, again, slightly less than IJsu because you got that first strike, and nothing is going to beat that first strike via attack. So that being said, Secret Dragon, not a bad trap. Next up, we have the second of 2 Druid traps, and the second being Seed of Regrowth. Now, when your unit, I should say, is destroyed, so it's similar to Detonation, or Detonate, I don't want to call it Detonation. Summon a Treant with full Summon a Treant with full health. Now, for those who don't know right off the top of their head, Trents, of course, are normally 3/5, but take an initiative of 2 damage, so they become 3/3. So really, you're summoning a 3/5 from a fallen unit. This isn't bad, especially with how aggressively druids are being played in the ladder right now. This is definitely one of the better traps to hold rather than adaptive armor. Seed of Regrowth, of course, bringing that 3/5 with you can be quite devastating in the early phases of the game. And if your unit is not running, barbarian counters or have some sort of effective method for removing units ready to go, they could be dealing with 6 face damage from the castle, or maybe 3 depending on where your unit, or where the Trent, I should say, was summoned from. So overall, probably the better of the 2 Druid cards right now, and one of course, the more dangerous ones for aggression decks, or aggro, I don't know why I said aggression, for aggro decks because of how well they can utilize this new sort of rush potential. Next up, we have Special Delivery, of course, the best of the 3 pirate traps, in my opinion. Of course, similar to Avalanche, when you just played, stun it and nearby enemies. So, again, sort of the same thing with Avalanche, except with stunning, it's going to be a little bit better because, of course, stunning, you have no retaliation. Freeze, it's more of a delayed strike. With Special Delivery, stunning, it's more like they can't hit back at all. So even if you don't kill it, your unit won't take any damage. So it's why Delivery is better than Avalanche, and why Delivery is probably one of the best pirate traps, because the other pirate traps, Cloak and Dagger gives a bleed, which is alright, but not too powerful. And you'll see later the third trap is sort of, the lowest of the tier, and it's not going to help you much at all. So Special Delivery is probably one of the best pirate traps, and that's stunning. Can be pretty devastating if played, or if activated in the right way. Following Special Delivery, we have the Verdict, of course, the second of 2 Crusader traps, and the only Crusader trap, interestingly enough, to be a legendary. When a friendly unit is destroyed, destroy a random enemy unit. Now, this is a sort of early murder percent, but you're going to have to sacrifice a unit to do so, and I don't think it's a bad card. Certainly better than Eternal Judgment, and with this, you're going to be, of course, like I said, killing a unit, a random enemy unit, so depending on maybe what units are on the field, you're nearly guaranteed to get rid of something big and powerful. And even in the later game, if you want to sacrifice your, of course, little unit, maybe you can't activate it on your turn. I just haven't really checked that, but with the Verdict, you're going to be killing off a bigger enemy unit regardless. So I would say that's certainly a good trap card, and probably one of the better, or probably the best Crusader trap currently in the game. And the final trap we'll be going into today is the vermin tunnels. Now, this is probably, like I said, the worst of the three pirate traps, mainly because it's no different from what it originally was. It's actually more expensive to play this now, and essentially you're attacking the castle, and four rats are popping out. Great. You've got, four bodies of rats. Now, granted, this might be good for a reanimate play, maybe, but you have to remember reanimate is only dealing with units that cost one or more. So even if you have a reanimate in your hand, you can't sacrifice these four rats to play it because the reanimate won't summon anything. It won't work out. So really, you can't do anything with the four rats rather than draw fuel or sacrifice to weaken. Really nothing that comes right into my mind with any sort of combos, and sort of why, like I said, Vermin Tunnel is probably the weakest trap card of them all, simply because you can't do anything with the rats afterwards. And, certainly why it's the weakest pirate trap of the existing trap cards. With that being said, guys, that's going to end today's video. If you enjoyed, if you learned something new, please be sure to give this video a like, share with your friends, and comment down below what you think of trap cards. Are you using them? If so, how are you using them, and have they been effective for you recently? There will be, of course, more videos like this coming up in the near future, of course, going into all of the various factions, hopefully starting out with the Vikings, as well as maybe some other interesting videos like this, going into some of the deeper new mechanics of the game, which I'm certainly excited to share with you guys in more depths, of course, in later videos. So, with that being said, if you guys haven't already done so, if you want to keep an eye out for these videos, you want to know when they go up live, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want to turn on notifications, completely fine if you don't. But I would say hit that subscribe button anyway, show your support to the channel, and help us grow. With that being said, guys, until the next video, stay gaming.